reading is power. For the Gen Z generation, we're definitely reading a lot less than we did compared to people in our past generations. And that's basically because of the takeover of social media that consumes our minds from day to day. And that's when we fall into excuses like, oh, I don't have time to read because my brain is consumed by social media. And that's why reading is something that can be powerful if you actually try to open a book, or purchase a Kindle and read a book on self-help, for instance. Find the most ROI if you actually did that step, because reading books can actually change your perspective and the way you view life. For instance, if you were to read a book on stoicism, I bet you it would have a stronger impact on your life compared to if you watched a video on stoicism, because you could say that watching a YouTube video is kind of similar to watching a movie, in that in most cases, if you're watching a YouTube video, you'll probably sit back and not actually try to retain the information that's being said in the video. You'll be sitting there with your bowl of chips, and you're probably not going to retain that information if you watch the video. But if you read the book, you take notes, you highlight certain passages, and you write about what you learned about from that book, then you're more likely to retain that information. When you're able to retain more information, that's when you're more likely to actually implement that actionable step that's mentioned in that book. And reading provides you with some discipline because it tests your attention span. Because these days, since our mind is consumed by social media, TikTok, Instagram, and we have access to these 1 minute shorts, and we're constantly on the lookout for watching more of these shorts. And that's when our attention span actually messes up, because we're so used to getting so many different pieces of content that are only 1 minute long. They're like bite-sized YouTube videos. And personally, for me, when I started to read more and more after not reading a lot for a couple of years, that's when I understood that my attention span was actually quite bad, because every time I would read maybe a page or two, my mind would immediately go to thinking about social media, and then I would instantly go for my phone and then start browsing, Instagram or Snapchat or whatever. And I made it a goal to stop doing that and actually focus my attention on what I'm reading, and try to absorb as much information and retain as much information as I can, because I want to implement whatever advice or actionable steps that's presented in that book. And if you're looking for books to change your mindset, I would highly recommend books on Stoicism, because Stoicism has personally changed my way of thinking, and it definitely could yours too. I would recommend books from Ryan Holiday. He has really good books that 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 highlight some of the Stoic principles, such as in his books like Ego is the Enemy, and The Obstacle is the Way, and Discipline is Destiny. These are all great books that I've read that I highly recommend that you check out if you want to see life from a different perspective. And when you actually sit down and read a book and try to retain information, taking notes, highlighting passages, that's when you're going to get the most ROI, because you'll be able to retain information more, and you're more likely going to implement that advice later on in your life.